Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to What's Map, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Right, it's Friday today of the week. We turn to the BonBon buddies over on Patreon and say, hey guys, vote us in a map. And they've gone with this one. And the best compliment I can give today's map is it reminds me to a degree of Cities Alpine Valley by Carnador. Now, if you've never heard of that map, you weren't around in 2017, were you? No, and that was the year that I chose Cities Alpine Valley to be my map of the year for the year. Now, map making has come on quite some way in the last 5 years, so don't be expecting this one to be map of the year. But to be fair,
it's my first map.
That's right. We're not really expecting a first timer to do a map of the year, are we? Could happen, but probably not today. But it's a very solid map. Now, one thing that will happen today, if I probe you, is I might get a little letter from your doctor, because that's kind of his job. But you could hit the like button. Thanks for your support. Today's map is Carter Channel by VividSwing. Okay, VividSwing, I'm going to say it. You've done a fine job for a first map. This is very likeable. Let's have a look at that start square. Gonna have minor grumbles about the intersection, but we'll save that for when we get down there. It's only minor stuff. Terrain heights are perfectly fine, plenty of buildable space in the 25 tiles. The resources are a little bit light if you're using, unless you're using unlimited resources, but they will run out quite quickly. And then if you've got Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, we actually have most of the fishies there, which is kind of nice if you want to fish for salmon close to the coast. Nothing wrong with that. Off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. Carter Channel is a fictional location separating two countries, and it's kind of based on the topography around Jutland in Denmark. And I see mention of Middelfart there as well, but the less said about that, the better. Here's your one-click collection. No controller I do have, but I have the more modern version. That's the 2.5. I have the 3.0. I think, if I remember rightly. We'll be using the Stray Cats Territory Homecoming theme with a realistic 1.2 LUT today. And the theme, I think, works absolutely fine with the map today. I don't feel you always have to have a really technical theme mix with all the bits and slight tweaks and light settings. Do you know what? It works perfectly fine with just the one theme. It's what we always used to do. And this map, it's kind of like a throwback to what good maps were 5 years ago. And of course the ratings of maps have moved on. I mean, if this was probably been a 4-star map 5 years ago, almost certainly. And now it's going to struggle to get that sort of level of rating, but just because everything has moved on. Everything, we've got such a level of map making, the map making community, that it's some trees just clipping through the rail and the road there. Not too much, and they're out of the 25 tiles, so I'm not going to break a sweat on those two there. Anyway, yes, so Carnador, whatever happened to them? Come back. No, so many great map makers from the past. I would say I miss Carnador, I miss Owl, and I miss Soso. If those three were to come back and start making maps again today, it'd be mind-blowing. I mean, they're all very different styles of map makers, but it would be mind-blowing. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the map coming up to our first intersection here. This isn't the start square. Start square's across the... it's a straight, it's not a river, isn't it? Because we're separating two countries here, I feel. I've got a few trees. I feel that this intersection was done well after the trees plopped. Maybe, I don't know, not entirely sure. The intersection marking tool is in operation there as well. There's simple intersection markings today. Now we've got a big old bridge. Everybody loves a big old bridge. I think the intention, they do say in the description here, is to have this as like the connection between two countries, and so sort of like have where are we, passport checks at each end. It'd be quite cool. Now, my main grumble with the bridge over this side, we do have a little bit of slowing and a little bit of stop-start traffic. It's not too bad. It's you'll see right at the very end of this clip before we move on, there'll be a truck or something like that. Will just stop there. The blue one's just stopping now, waiting for it to clear. So there's a little bit of that going on. But also, we've got the elevated Bay Bridge, and then we switch to the 4 lanes mass transit for a long stretch of what is effectively bridge. I think I would have liked the Bay Bridge to extend it a little bit further down this way, and maybe just before we hit the ground, then switch it back to mass transit. Yeah, it's a big old bridge. Everybody loves a big old bridge, and some might say it's too big, but given what it's trying to do, which is, like, say, allow shipping to go underneath, I'm okay. I can buy into that story. Now heading up to the Start Square intersection. This Start Square intersection is okay. It's a fair weight of traffic running through it, but it's not going to handle... Oh, we see some trees under the road up there as well. It's not going to handle a huge weight of traffic because of its design. And this map does feel like a map that you could build a big city on. So while that is a perfectly legitimate intersection, certainly sort of intersection that I built plenty of in my city. I think I've got one on the island build at the moment, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. You know, I am a fan of them personally. For the Start Square intersection on a map it's gonna generate a lot of traffic, that is gonna struggle, that one. And so yes, it's just a question of demolishing it and rebuilding it. Sirens for the BonBonBingo players. Just gone past, that was an ambulance. Yeah, BonBonBingo, link is in the description. But yes, what I'm really liking about this one is the mountains and the hills feel really believable. They are absolute, and it works. It's the theme that's making them come to life. We've got obviously a terrain elevation map that's been imported in, and that doesn't make for a good map on its own. You still need to have a good vision, and then to be able to work the trees and have a decent shoreline, all that sort of stuff. And all of that has been done as well. I mean, everything's in. I don't feel that we're talking at the top. There's more trees underneath the roads there. Again, if you're playing vanilla, none of this will show through, because this is my anarchy settings. I like to show what is hiding under the roads, and there are a few trees along this national road here. But we're looking at the rail. The rail is pretty decent. There might have been some question on gradient over just before the or around the mountain area, but again, it wasn't anything that was making me sweat, because I don't feel this is the sort of map. This is the sort of map that the original base game vanilla map should have been. Admittedly, we do have the custom trees. We got the Bay Bridge, and so I would have thought, we would have had a standard vanilla suspension bridge across here, and that would have been fine. Just a little grumble about under here. Have a look at, we've seen this before and we're seeing it again. The line is, I'm trying to get the camera in, there you go. If you have a look at the rails, just dropping below the actual Bay Bridge girders there. So yeah, in terms of quality of detailing, while you have to be at a funny angle to be able to see that one, it is still technically a detailing error. So I'm going to show it, because otherwise somebody else will go, you didn't show it, but it was definitely there, and you docked me a point for mine, and people get very upset about these things. So I'm going to show. Again, it's not something I'm going to break a sweat over. Personally, I would have just gone with a big old vanilla bridge, suspension bridge across there. I wouldn't worry about Bay Bridge. Not the sort of map that I feel really needs it. But, I mean, it's been done to a pretty decent standard. Anyway, we're heading up towards that intermission. We'll take a little break off to YouTube ads, just for a change. And we'll come right back after this to check the shipping and the water flow. And so, hopefully you had some ads to entertain you there. Hopefully. Shipping routes, perfectly fine, through the middle of the bridge there, following around this way, loops around that way, heads off towards the edge of the map over here. What can I tell you? Oh, and even a little route into the Start Square area there as well. What more can you ask for? Water flow in the start square is a little bit weak, just a little bit. We have got water more towards this way moving, so this is probably going to be where you put your sewage. That is pumping out into a dead end down into the bay, so you might get a little bit of sewage accruing down that way. It's evaporation that is clearing the water down there. So anyway, map as a whole, it's a pleasing shape. I mean, it's fine. It's gonna give you a broken up city with like a wide bay, and you're gonna have ferries scurrying across from one side of the bay to the other. I mean, there's plenty of good stuff. And again, I like the shapes. So look at the shapes of the hills here. Shapes of the hills, very nice. Just believable. And believable is fine. Is what all you want from a map is a map that you want to build on and it not look absolutely ridiculous, and this map's going to give you all of that. And you can get into the hills, and you can do some like mountain towns up there in certain places if you do some planning. And that's the best part about city building, is you can plan what you like, can't you? The rivers. Okay, let's start off with the old elephant in the room, or as we say, the tree with its trunks on. That's the one. We've got a couple there in the river, which is a bit of an oopsie. But ignoring that, I love the shape of this river. Now, I remember fairly recently I was talking about a windy river that was basically, it was too windy for how wide it was. This is, I would say, the exact amount of windy for the width of the river. Even this bit coming down here, if we look at this from above, that is, for the width of the river, I would say that's about right, the amount that it's bending and winding. And speaking about right as well, when we get up to the top, you can see the water spawn point. This lake, if it was any larger, it would probably overpower the map. If it was any smaller, it wouldn't look believable. It's too small to be a spawn point, obviously a realistic spawn point, but it's not always about exact realism. And I would say if that lake was any smaller, it wouldn't work. If it was any bigger, it'd probably be too much. Then up here, we've got another little lake that's disconnected. You can actually see the old dry river there as well, which is a nice little thing. In the wet season, that might pour down the old there. However, I would like to see that pillar moved one side or the other, so it's not standing in the middle of the river when we do have the wet seasons. Minor grumble, minor technical grumble. And I love the lake over here. Do you know what? This map, I love the mountains, I love the lakes, I don't mind the tree painting at all. It's not next level, but it's good level. Apart from where it's underneath the roads, but let's not harp on those, or in the rivers. Let's not harp on that either. But all told, I mean, the paintings around the foot of the mountains, it's in general very strong indeed. And it's also strong. It's the foundations in the Interlocking block road by Kasajizo. Right, we've got what look like two identical roads here. Yep. The answer is nope. Well, they look identical. One's a two-way road, one's a one-way road, and so I highly recommend these. These, I feel, I mean, you don't have to use them in the Japanese build. You could use them anywhere. These look generic enough. And if you want it to be a one-way thoroughfare, you just use the one which is the one way. I think they look great. And the other thing I think is great is factoids. Let's do factoids, because factoids. As we're looking at Carter Channel today, let's do Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's favourite... Hello? Jimmy Carter just rode through my living room. Anyway, Jimmy Carter's favourite president was Harry Truman. Carter told The Guardian in 2011 that he admired Truman for not trying to profit off of his presidency. If only fewer politicians would try to profit off of their presidencies or anything that they're doing politically. Anyway. Interlocking Block Road by Kasajizo. I definitely recommend them. Very nice. See them in your town centre for your pedestrianised streets, all that kind of stuff. Oh, be lovely. Mind you, they're not pedestrianised, but you know what I mean. You get my gist. But do you have the time and the patience? Do you? Well, go and vote then. Off you go. Your vote really does count. We use your votes for the Viewer's Choice Top 10 at the end of the month. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Remember, 1-star map, 5-star map, or somewhere in between. The choice is yours. But what do I think of today's map? Well, it's pretty decent. I think aesthetically I like it. I would not going to say that I think it's shining to the next level, but the overall design is interesting and pleasing. Can't quite give it a 4th star. I'm going to go for a very high 3. It feels like a very high 3. Detailing. Not too much wrong with this. 1 or 2 trees in the water, 1 or 2 trees under the road, 1 or 2 minor dribbles here and there. Nothing really that picks it up to the next level. So again, I think we'll match the same score for aesthetics. We'll go for a medium-high 3 stars. Still the pass mark. Gameplay potential. The intersection will probably need changing. The water flow could be a little bit stronger. The resources are a little bit light, but they're all there. It's going to have to be a medium-high 3 stars. Why as high as medium-high 3? Because it feels playable. Carta Channel by VividSwing. It has that same kind of buildability as Schwitz Alpine Valley had. And when you're comparing it to somebody with Carnador, then you're talking about somebody who's showing serious potential on a first map. So all credit to you, VividSwing. Anyway, I'll be taking a break until tomorrow morning. Don't worry, I'll be back. I'll be back. I won't leave you alone. We'll do another What's map tomorrow, and it'll be the Saturday map, so it could be just a wee bit quirky. It could be. Definitely the asset will be. You can guarantee that. See you then. I'll be back.